Hi everyone, it's Some Type of Artist here, back with another revisiting anime series. And today I have Chris, as usual, and today is going to be significantly different from last week, because last week we spent like almost 3 hours talking about Full Metal Alchemist, and we thought, yeah, you know what? We need something lighter, and since I just did not enjoy all of those comedy gags from Full Metal Alchemist, we thought let's watch a show entirely about stupid comedy gags that I should hate. And boy, we had some different results. We took a look at Excel Saga, a show that came out in the early 2000s, and Excel Saga is a parody series about a character named Excel. She works for a secret organization called Across, led by this stupid looking video game final boss looking character called Il Palazzo. And every episode is a parody of some other anime show or genre or film genre or some kind of parody of pop culture in general as they try to take over the city. And along the way, there is also kind of like a couple of different side plots about her three idiot neighbors that form a like a civil servant contract with a mysterious mustache Dr. Man named Kabapu, and they basically become Power Rangers to stop Il Palazzo by the end of the show. I don't want to say that's like kind of it, but I don't know how much we're really gonna have to talk about today because there isn't a whole lot to really talk about. I think the impacts it had on us and how we responded to it is more interesting than the show itself. So before we get any further into that, just a little bit of I guess history with the show. Chris, do you have any what was your experience like with Excel Saga up until now?
Okay, up until now. Excel Saga was a show that I borrowed from you
Did you hear about it
when.
at all before I let you borrow it?
No, I only heard about it from you.
Okay.
And pretty much it was at the time where I liked every anime and I borrowed it from you, and at least according to you, I liked certain aspects of it. And I guess a younger me enjoyed it more than an older me.
Right. Um, XL Saga was one of the first anime box sets I had ever bought. So, in that way, it holds some nostalgia, but it's not like a show that I crave to go back to or have like particularly fond memories of. Like, I enjoyed it a lot when I was younger. It has a lot of random humor in it. It has like a lot of. I don't know if there's like a phrase for this, but you know how like in Invader Zim and like some other shows, characters will like talk in the third person or they'll describe things like with way more words than necessary. Like a cell phone will be a cellular device and stuff like that. That kind of humor I really liked when I was
Yeah,
in high school. So this show has a lot of stuff like that too. Um,
it's got a lot of fourth wall breaks too.
it's a very self-aware show. So one of our friends, his nickname was Bookie. I don't know why, but that's what we'll be referring to him as. He let me borrow this show when I was a sophomore in high school, and that was like 2003 ish. And I loved it. I bought it from Suncoast for like $60. It's like one of my favorite box sets just to look at because it's got like this weird. I don't know. The way they're drawn is like super rough and sketchy, and it reminds me of like a blend of anime and Western animation. And it's just got like a lot of like this the box itself has like deep space in the background, but like everything on it, like all the characters on the box are super colorful. It's a very colorful show. Um but it's not something I really revisited too much outside of high school. I started collecting the manga series when I was in like my second half of high school, and Anything Excel Saga I consumed in college was just basically when the new volume of the manga came out, but this is like one of those manga series where they only had one volume come out like every 6 months or a year kind of thing. It wasn't
Yeah, I
as in.
looked it up. The manga didn't conclude until 2011, which I was like, wow.
Yeah, yeah, it went on for a while, and I do remember it being pretty significantly different from the show. I don't want to say it's like more serious, but it did develop like a solid plot. I really can't remember too much about it. It's one of those manga series that I'm gonna probably look at again on my own time during this big project, like I am currently doing with the Full Metal Alchemist manga. But yeah, I after I stopped liking anime, one of those big reasons was because I got so tired of all the anime humor, and Excel Saga is just full of that kind of stuff. So it's a show I remember liking a lot and was so terrified to go back to because I knew I was gonna hate it. I knew so much I was gonna hate it just because I knew I wasn't gonna find anything in it funny. Thought it was all just gonna be really stupid. I thought I was gonna be so fed up with Excel's voice, like, because that's like the big thing. Regardless of whether you like or dislike Excel Saga, the big thing going into the show is to know that if you're gonna watch the English dub, Excel's voice is a test of endurance. And I don't mean that in a way of whether it's good or bad voice acting. It's nails on a chalkboard, high shrieking. It's something I didn't know how I was gonna get through it, but you know, I have to say, despite it all, I had a really good time with Excel Saga.
Well, that's good.
I don't
I'm
know
happy
how
for you.
I don't know how I did. I have this weird circle of enjoyment, and the best way I could put it is like after a certain point on the circle of stupidity, if it passes a certain point, I can enjoy it for the stupidity itself. Like a lot of people really hate Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 because of how ridiculous it is. But for me, it kind of passes that point of ridiculous and becomes enjoyable in its own way for me. It's not good, but I still had a fun time watching Shadow say, "Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?" and watching Bestiality in Sonic 06.
Yes, that does happen.
Excel Saga was kind of like that for me. Excel Saga is dumb, really, really fucking dumb, but I loved how dumb it was.
Mm.
It's one of those shows where I'm like, I don't drink a lot. It's a show I would probably enjoy even more if I had alcohol in it, involved in it. It's a show that I mostly watched late at night too, so like my brain was already half off. It reminded me a lot of Adult Swim stuff. It's like I love Aqua Teen and I love the Brack Show and I love Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I can't say if any of that stuff is good or not. I can't say if I could recommend that to a person that didn't also grow up with Adult Swim stuff. Because a lot of the stuff in it is just so stupid. But
Is good.
that's what I love about it, though. It is stupid, and it's a good stupid. I liked how stupid it was.
Yeah. Well,
But that's just me. Chris, how did you feel about Excel Saga?
okay. I will say before. Well, Excel Saga's art is nice. It's appealing. It looks like 90s CD-ROM hentai, I guess.
Which is,
And
I guess, I guess it's kind of appropriate because the original creator of Excel Saga was involved in the doujinshi scene before Excel Saga started. In fact, Excel herself came from a previous work he did.
Neat.
I don't know if it was like that in nature or not, but it's just a fun fact. And
Yeah, and
the art
and besides that, I think this show freaking sucks. I hate it. It's so stupid, and all the characters are terrible and not funny or interesting. And I don't think I laughed once watching it. I only got through 8 episodes of it and couldn't stand it.
Chris is really mad that he watched the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it. And here's my biggest peeve with it. It's really, really boring. Like you're just sitting there waiting for funny stuff to happen, and instead it's just annoying. Um, Gabe, just to let you know, give me a heads up if I cut out at any point, because there is like a thunderstorm starting to happen.
Okay.
But yeah, XL's voice, as Gabe mentioned, is really annoying. And for me, it is super annoying because not only does XL never stop talking throughout the episodes, she's
You cut out.
and I find it really stupid.
You cut out, Chris.
Okay. Well, okay. I don't know what I cut out with, but XL's voice is super annoying and she's constantly narrating everything she does.
Yeah, so I will admit this. It didn't bother me nearly as much. It did bother me some, but XL, at least in the English dub, speaks in the third person a lot. And that was something I really enjoyed in high school. It is something that's increasingly more annoying now for me. And she talks a lot. Like, her whole thing is trying to fit as many words into a single sentence as quickly as possible. Remember last time when we talked about Fullmetal Alchemist and I did that thing where I was making fun of Hughes being serious and then talking super fast about Alicia? That's like all Excel does. Yeah. For the most part. There are actually some times when she does talk normal, and she does talk more slowly, and she does talk more softly. And that's why I wanted to say I didn't really think it was a matter of whether or not her voice actresses are bad, because it's clear that she can make it work. It's just, this is the character. This is the character. And this might surprise you. I was so curious about it. I did watch the first 3 episodes in Japanese. I usually don't watch the dub because subtitles distract me too much from what's going on the screen. But I really wanted to know what Excel is like in like Japan, in Japanese. And she talks fast, but her voice is so much more softer and cuter.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's like the nails on. Yeah, so the intro is sung by Excel and the other main character of Cross, Hyatt. They're voice actresses who are also characters in the show that come up from time to time. So their voice actresses are singing the intro, and I like the intro like a lot more than I thought I would. Their voices are really nice to listen to, I think. So yeah. It is just so weird though, just the direction Excel is in, because like when I remember when I was reading the manga, I didn't get quite the hyperactive feeling I got from the show because there is no voice to associate it with. And I gotta say, the art in the manga is like really good. Like, he puts a lot of fucking effort into that art. So it's also, Excel also has, from what I remember, less of her like silliness and zaniness. It is in there still, but it's easier to just kind of digest Excel than in the show. It really just comes down to Excel and her voice. I remember when I was in high school, I showed this show to a lot of people in high school, and I brought it over to a friend's house once, and I think my friend was enjoying it, but his brother never wanted me to be over the house again. Like, he was fucking done. He, like, came into that room, like, every 5 minutes and said this is, like, the most annoying thing he's ever heard in his entire life. And he was 10.
Smart 10-year-old.
Yeah, so, I forget where we were. What were we talking about? You were talking about things you hated about Excel Saga. Yeah. Excel, we were talking about Excel herself.
Yeah, I guess to just kind of finish up my thoughts here, you know, you compared it to Adult Swim shows, but yeah. I would argue, I guess Excel Saga could be similar to a bad Adult Swim show. But like it doesn't have for me any likable characters that had any like funny lines to me. I just felt like all the characters, their jokes just felt flat, and the show, like we talked to each other before we started. The show has a real thing of like being like isn't suffering hilarious? Like it's like look at this dog, emergency food supply, which as a younger man I thought was hilarious, but then as an older man I'm like that poor dog. It's afraid of being eaten, and it just didn't work for me. It's just
Right.
like there's a character named Pedro, and his whole deal is he went to Japan to work so he can make money for his wife and his son, and his wife's cheating on him, and the show keeps wanting to remind you like look how hilarious it is that Pedro's wife doesn't love him anymore and Pedro's gonna cry. So hilarious.
Right. So I know we talked about this before too. I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to just taste and humor.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
because like I
definitely.
told you, like none of this is supposed to be taken seriously, right?
I know
It's
it's not
all,
supposed to be taken
but
seriously, and the thing is, it's just not funny though.
yeah. Well,
Like I know I definitely get like dark humor and stuff, but like I don't know, maybe it's the delivery or maybe it's just like the way the show is. But like, and granted, I'm kind of playing it up for the podcast. My main issue with the show is just like it's just really boring.
yeah. I mean,
Like
like
every episode felt so long, and because like the jokes just didn't hit for me, it was just like Excel would just start talking, and then like there would be some sort of like vague parody plot of something that the author says at the beginning of the episode, and yeah, it just everything took
see, that's interesting
like
because
recurring jokes.
yeah. I mean, I thought it was funny. Like it wasn't all like laugh out loud humor, but I had a smirk on my face for like a lot of it. And like I mentioned earlier, I just enjoyed how dumb it was. Like Excel Saga is rated on my box. It says it's rated 17 and up. Like there's a lot of swearing in it sometimes. Not as much as I remember, but like that's kind of it. Because a lot of this does kind of feel like stupid stuff that's supposed to be funny. Like I like in Pokemon with Jesse and James, and every time James sends out the victory bell, it eats him. It's like, no, I'm not laughing, but I don't know. It's lighthearted. Something after Full Metal
I
Alchemist needed to be lighthearted for me, and I think that's maybe why I appreciated it the way I did after such a heavy show we looked at last time. Maybe it's also because I was really expecting to
Yeah,
hate it, and my bar was so low that it surpassed my expectations. But there was legitimate laughs out of it from me. Like I usually like self-referential humor. So like for example, in the first episode, every episode begins with the author Koshi Rikto, who is also a character in the show, giving his permission to the anime team to do something with Excel Saga. The first episode has introductions to Excel and Across and Il Palazzo, and Il Palazzo says, what is our first step to conquering this city? We need to get rid of the smut of the earth. And do you know what these are, Excel? And he holds up volumes of Excel Saga. It's like, this is the smut of the earth. We need to destroy comic creators because they offer nothing productive to society. So she goes to try to assassinate Koshirito in his house, and she's sneaking through it, and he's like singing this stupid song about how manga artists suck and how they're the scum of the earth, and it's just like, I don't know. That was funny to me.
yeah. Well, this is. Oh, I think you gotta. Well, actually, I don't know if it works for me, but I'm hearing kind of an echo. But it's weird. Yeah, I don't know. The show was just so boring,
Yeah, I mean, to
and
each their own. Like you and I, like we've agreed on most of this stuff so far, but you and I do have some pretty different tastes. So,
yeah,
like,
and I think one thing that I wanted to say that I kind of lost my thought for a second. Excel Saga has this like zany, crazy, random vibe to it. And maybe for me, it never goes quite as like zany as you would think.
It
I mean,
wasn't
the
as zany
closest
as I
thing I can
remember.
think of
That's for
being
sure.
like Excel Saga that I think is a lot funnier is like Bobo.
See, that's one of the shows this reminded me of. Like, it reminds me of Bobobo, if you've seen that, like, way back in the day, just for this pure absurdity of shit. This is a little known one that I doubt anyone's gonna remember, but Adult Swim briefly ran this show called Super Milk Chan, that the show kind of reminded me of with its stupid, absurdist humor.
Yeah.
Something more modern. I haven't seen a lot of it, but from what I've seen of Pop Team Epic, that kind of stupid, absurdist humor, this kind of reminds me of. It's dumb, it's lowbrow, but it makes me laugh. I don't know. It's better than for like what we were going about last week with Full Metal Alchemist, where they're trying to tell a serious story, but then they try to make it lighthearted in some areas, and it felt like too forced. At least this, for the Excel Saga, for the most part, knows that it's like really dumb. Like it's aware of how stupid it is, and I don't think you got
No,
to that part.
it is a comedy anime.
Yeah, but even as a comedy anime, like I don't know if you got to this part yet. I don't think you did, because Chris couldn't stand it. He couldn't watch the whole thing. Chris
I
watched
watched
like
8 episodes.
yeah. Eventually, they try to start throwing a plot together very loosely and fourth wall breakingly, where the director and the author and the anime team keep fighting with each other, and they all just kind of say, "This is so stupid. We need to start finding a plot soon. Nobody cares about Excel Saga. When are you going to start telling a story already?" And then they kind of pull one out of its ass at the last minute with a lot of the different minor subplots that were visited earlier in the series. This is a little backwards. I think I meant to do this earlier, but then we just kind of got into something else. But I wanted to talk about some more of the characters too. Um, Unless you had anything else to say about why you hated Excel Saga.
I mean, hate's a strong word, but
Is it?
yeah,
For this situation, is it really?
well, yeah, I don't like it. It's really boring. And to be perfectly honest, like it's so not memorable. Like I literally watched like 4 episodes this week to try to, soldier through it. And I don't even think I could tell you what happened in any of the episodes. That's how boring I found the show. Yeah, like seriously, I literally am like racking my brain trying to remember what happened. And like the only thing I remember is there was an episode where they were at a pool, and everybody was wearing bathing suits, and that was kind of nice.
Yeah, that was the
Remember?
I forget how they phrased it, but they were like, "Hey, there's too many gross guys in this show. Make a show just about the girls." So the entire episode, they blocked out all of the men, and they all had really the little bit of the men you did see had really shitty animation, and all of the girls got like that super sexy anime shine to them.
Yeah,
So that was
yeah,
like
I
another bit
remember
of
that. And then I
self-referential stuff I
remember like
liked.
some episode where they're on a mountain with like a avalanche, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
seriously,
don't exactly remember what happened with Excel and Height in that one. I think that was the one where they first were introduced to the ray guns, like Iwata and Watanabe and Sumiyoshi in them as part of their training, and then they blew up the mountain that Excel was on.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, I do remember laser pistols, and I remember that other girl that like keeps getting mad every time the narrator wants to introduce her.
yeah, Mitsuya.
And
Mitsuya was fun
yeah,
for me because Asuka Langley Soryu from Evangelion is like one of my favorite characters of all time, and I really like her voice actress Tiffany Grant. And it's not someone I hear ever again anywhere else. She has roles I don't think I've ever heard her, and it wasn't until I was watching Excel Saga this time that I realized, oh shit, Tiffany Grant plays her. So like the entire point of interest for me for her character was just because of who her English voice actor was. I think she also plays Sandora too, Pedro's son, which is funny to me. Because now I keep thinking about Asuka doing a Sandora accent.
Yeah.
See, that's what it is with me. It has like nothing to do with the show at all. I'm just finding stupid stuff that makes me laugh. But so okay, we skipped over this before, but the plot summary I gave you is basically that. But so Excel is super hyperactive. She is deeply devoted and in love with Il Palazzo, and will do anything to make his dream of conquering the city a reality. Il Palazzo himself is like a parody of those mysterious anime leaders for the bad guys, because like he wears a really stupid dorky costume, and
He has like a big cape and
yeah,
glasses, and I guess his whole thing too, which like I guess the joke is supposed to be he's a supervillain, but he's like super lazy, I guess.
yeah. See, that was funny because it's like you
He
wonder.
doesn't do anything.
Because, like, anytime you think of, like, a JRPG where you meet the big villain in, like, the throne room, and you ever wonder, like, what's he doing there while he's waiting for you? And you see El Palazzo, like, when he's not there briefing Excel, and he's just waiting for results to happen, he's, like, sitting there, he's reading magazines, he's trying to learn to play the guitar. He's playing video games. See, that was
the only joke in that whole show that made me laugh was he's playing a dating sim, and it keeps cutting to him playing this dating sim, and it has 3 options on the screen, and the third option is always put it in.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's funny. But everything else is terrible.
So in the first episode, one of Excel's part-time jobs is she works at a construction site, and she introduces us to this friend of hers named Pedro, who, like you mentioned earlier, he came to Japan to work construction to support his family back home. I don't know why, but there you go. He dies in a fire in that episode, and there's like a subplot with him throughout the rest of the series as a wandering ghost trying to go back home. And he gets involved in, like, when the show starts to develop a plot out of its ass, Pedro becomes like really central to that. There is Hyatt. Hyatt is like the exact opposite of Excel in every way. She's supposed to be the super beautiful, dainty, fragile princess, but it's taken too far because she's so fragile she dies like all the time. Or they say she dies. I don't know. She's really anemic. She like falls down all the time. She starts vomiting blood or coughing up blood and stuff like that because of how poor health she's in. And
she's from space, so part of me is just like, is she like dying because she doesn't acclimate to the atmosphere of the Earth? But maybe I'm just being too scientific.
Yeah, I don't quite know. They introduced her in the second episode when it was parodying like a space invasion show where these cute creatures called Poochus try to come and take over the planet, and Hyatt is just kind of left on Earth. The Poochus are like a recurring gag throughout the series. They're like in the background doing shit, or sometimes they mess up with like the main characters. They're really cute, but whenever you like hit one, their face turns like super serious and ugly. And they, at least in the English dub, they sound exactly like Strong Bad from Homestar Runner. I know you haven't watched Homestar Runner before, Chris, but since we're making early 2000s references, someone out there might get that.
Yeah, never watched that. I've heard a lot about it, though.
So, since it's so fourth wall breaking, like I mentioned, the author Koshi Rikdo, he makes an appearance in like the beginning of every episode, giving his permission for stuff. The director of the series is Shinichi Watanabe, and he has his own persona in the show called Nabashin, and he just usually pops up to do something random or make some kind of fourth wall breaking reference, or sometimes they help out whoever's there. Excel and Hyatt live next to a trio of idiots. Their names are Watanabe, Iwata, and Sumiyoshi. Watanabe's like, I don't know, he's aggravated because he can't improve his station in life, and he's super cynical. Iwata is an idiot, and Sumiyoshi is supposed to be, I guess, be like the voice of reason. Sumiyoshi's really weird because he doesn't speak. He doesn't have a voice actor. Every time he talks, just text appears on the screen. I'm not exactly sure why, and I forgot to look it up in the manga about how that dialogue is in like print form, because like everybody has text when they're talking in the manga, obviously, but I think it was supposed to be he had like some kind of dialect or something. I don't know. It was weird. But they all get jobs as civil servants for, that guy Kabapu. Kabapu is the big suit that has dreams of being the leader of a superhero squad to defend the city. So he eventually suits them all up with Power Ranger suits that eventually they all fight against Il Palazzo in the climax. There's like another girl there that we mentioned that Tiffany Grant voices, like we said, Mitsuya. I don't really have much to say about her. She's just like a no-nonsense, always fending off Awada, trying to hit on her. There is one of my favorite characters, who shouldn't be a favorite character, Dr. Shioji, who is like a shoujo pretty boy, but the parody is he's into lollies. So, like, when you first meet him, he's sitting on a park bench and he's just kind of creeping on all the little kids at the park.
Oh, nice. Pedophile jokes, huh?
It's a cartoon! Come on! You found this funny at one point.
I did. Like I said, I think, like, if you're a teenager, you probably will think this show's pretty good, but if you're, like, sucks.
You cut out there, so I'm assuming it was something regarding my intelligence, but that's okay.
No, I said if you're a teenager, I think you would find the show funny, but if you're like a 30-something, you might be like, this show kind of sucks.
Well, he makes these two robots. They're the Rope and Matsu sisters. One of them is like this beautiful android, and the other one is more to his lolly tastes. And yeah, those are the characters, really. Like, there's a bunch of different episodes where they have a mix of some or all of them. Sometimes it just focuses on Excel and Hyatt. Sometimes it just focuses on Watanabe and Kabapu and his crew. Sometimes they intersect with each other. Well, there's also Menchi. In the first episode, Excel finds a dog and names it Menchi. I think in the manga, she was originally called Mince. But either way, it's like an emergency food supply for Excel, and that's the running gag with Menchi there. And Menchi's like terrified of Excel because she doesn't want to get eaten. And she escapes several times only to be just brought back to Excel at the end of the day.
Because suffering is hilarious.
Well, like I was mentioning to you before we started,
Yeah.
there was an interview with Koshi Rito on the 5th DVD of this series, and they were asking him about, like, coming up with the Excel Saga, and something he said caught my eye. He said that at the time, since the world economy was depressed, which was the original time the manga was made was 1999 in Japan.
Yeah, that's like the lost decade or whatever they call in Japan.
Yeah.
Or a great recession.
Since the world economy was depressed, a pessimistic view of life was like, it is a waste to seek your dream, and that kind of idea was spreading, so he made Excel Saga in order to laugh off that worldview. Which I thought maybe that appeals to just me and my own personal values more, because I think I'm at kind of a point in my life where I'd rather just laugh off all the pessimistic shit, because Lord knows we have enough pessimistic shit in the world today. It's just like, I came into a certain point in my life where I just can't do it anymore. I just can't work up being so caught up in all the negativity and all the pessimism, so I try to do my best to laugh it all off. Like, it doesn't mean that I don't care about it, but, like, I don't know. I appreciate a satirical view on it. Because, like, a lot of the things you were saying about, like, oh, well, that's not funny, that's not funny, that's not funny, I think 5 years ago, I would have agreed with you, too. Because, like, 5 years ago, I still wasn't into anime. 5 years ago, I had just watched Ava again, and I felt like that was as far as going back to anime as I was going to do. But you know, I don't know. Like I said, it's not like Excel Saga is this grand like commentary. Like it's not like South Park, which I also compared the show to a lot because of a lot of the stupid random characters it has. Like Excel Saga and South Park both make a lot of parodies of a lot of movies and genres and stuff like that. And there's like a lot of stupid absurdist stuff that will just play off, and you kind of need to like know like what it's parodying, I guess, to kind of get it. And I don't even understand half the time all of the stuff Excel Saga is parodying, but I can at least follow along with it and think I know where it's trying to go. But you know, it's not smart. It's not like a smart comedy or anything. It has a lot of moments where it makes commentary on the world, but it's stuff you've heard like everywhere before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, comedy is subjective, you know.
I know, which is why I thought like this
Everybody
is going to be kind of weird to make an episode about, because it's like there's only so many ways we can make a statement saying I thought it was funny and you didn't.
Yeah.
there's not really a way to like kind of like argue about different things in it. You know, it's like, Gabe, did you think it was funny when the pretty boy anime man was creeping on little girls in the park? Yep. Did you, Chris? Nope. Okay.
I didn't see it, though.
Yeah, that was later in the
I didn't even
series.
get that far.
Yeah, that was pretty late in the series. It also doesn't help that particular scene, since we're going back to just 2000s references too. If any of you remember AMV Hell, that was like a series of, I guess like music video clips or, I don't know, something like that.
Anime edits.
Yeah, like memes, I guess, like a collection of memes. There was one where Dr. Shioji was sitting on the park bench and they started playing Aqualung's song where it's just like sitting on a park bench, eyeing little girls with that intent. Which, you know, I can't believe that's an actual song. But it's like that's the thing though. So it's like, okay, so like why can Aqualung release that song and it's like, okay, that's fine. But then like the thing in Excel Saga where it's parodying, it's like, oh no, we can't have that be funny. That's just wrong.
You know, things have changed. You know, when Excel Saga was made, you know, those type of jokes were pretty prevalent in media, but now they're kind of like, man, maybe this is kind of in poor taste.
Yeah, and to an extent, I agree, but I
like Robot Chicken was kind of made around this time, and when you go back to Robot Chicken, it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Things that happen in this, like,
oh yeah,
it's like this would never fly now, but you know, back in the 2000s.
Yeah, and it's weird because I think you and me are both at a point where it's like we understand where that current worldview is coming from, but
yeah,
it's just on all the time, and it gets exhausting.
Yeah,
and sometimes we just want to laugh at something that's in poor taste.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not hurting anybody. We don't really, like, believe this shit. We just want to fucking turn our brains off and watch a stupid scene from a stupid show.
Yeah.
But before I guess we wrap it up, there were some choice episodes that I really did enjoy that I just wanted to make little notes of. I talked about episode 1, about killing the original manga author. Episode 4, you touched briefly on this, was the dating sim episode, where a lot of it was setting up like a dating sim video game, and it looks like it's just making a parody with Il Palazzo being the main character, and, you know, Excel is the younger sister that won't leave him alone, and Hyatt is the girl from school he wants to crush on. But then the subplot of that episode is Watanabe trying to take Hyatt out on a date, and you find out like later on, like, the game is actually being shown through Watanabe's eyes. I thought that was funny. Episode 10 was the dog episode, which I thought was so fucking dumb, and I loved it. It was Menchie escapes from her prison of home and gets involved with this gang of dogs that want to help reunite her with her original owner. And there's just so many cheesy lines and stereotypes in it for the dog she meets up with. She's rescued by a dog named Wolf, and
Oh, I do remember that episode. That's where the dogs like actually have like voices, right?
yeah. So there's like
Yeah.
another dog that's like the tough guy dog. He's a bulldog, but he's like wearing an eye patch, and he's like always like juggling dice in his hands. And it's like every time he has to make a decision, he rolls the dice. He's like, "Oh damn, snake eyes again." and they're all like, "Oh, Wolf, you're just taking such a shine to Menchie because she reminds you of your younger sister." And then he's just like, "I just wanna help those in need." It's like characters like that I feel like would pop up in South Park all the time for like one-shot characters. They're making fun of these stupid movie tropes. I like that a lot. Episode 11 was the baseball episode where Excel and Hyatt become teachers at like this juvenile delinquent school, and they like all have these ridiculous stupid pompadours. It's like I think like when they saw the classroom, I was like, "Oh my god, it's a classroom full of Kuwabaras from Yu Yu Hakusho." and it becomes like a sports episode where Excel has to get the baseball team to win before something dumb happens, and they have to go recruit their best player who has this pompadour that's like so ridiculously long it goes off the screen.
Like that guy from Air Gear.
Yeah, kind of even longer than that.
Huh.
Episode 17 was the American episode where Excel and Hyatt go to America to learn about regional differences. And, I think that kind of speaks for itself. They meet Sandora, Pedro's son, there, who leaves home because his mom and his new dad aren't working out so well, and he's going to America because he loves anime and wants to become a, not like a manga artist. What is it? It's like, he wants to work on anime, like in a studio. Forget what they actually call it.
Animator.
Well, there was a more technical classification, like line artist or a key something, but yeah, basically an animator. So, he goes there
Keyframer.
and he keyframer, thank you. And he
Yeah.
what I like most about that is how much he reminds me of my experience in high school with anime, where everybody kind of had half-truths about Japan and how anime was in the real world. And Sandora just kind of represents all that because he thinks that because he's going to work on anime, he's going to become so rich, he'll have like so much money he has no idea what to do with. And he'll have like all the fame and recognition of like a Hollywood celebrity.
Yeah.
So that was funny. Episode 21 was always one of my favorite episodes. It was Excel's heart is tested because a mysterious person comes to a cross to deliver El Palazzo a message, and he is so super hot, and he's a guitarist.
Is this that key guy?
Yeah.
I think I remember this
Yeah.
when I originally watched it.
He's a guitarist, and he's just like, he needs to deliver a message to El Palazzo, but he can't say it because he has to sing it because he's a stuck-up musician. And he's just like, "Oh, these rosy chains bind me. I can't perform in such an indelicate atmosphere." And El Palazzo is like super jealous of how pretty and everything Key is. He orders Excel and Hyatt to follow Key around until his quote-unquote rosy chains release him. And there's a bunch of really nice visual humor where they have to stay in his he has to stay in their apartment, and they put up this bedsheet as like a separator, and there's a silhouette of him just playing his guitar. It makes it look like he's masturbating, and then he starts doing really weird stuff with the silhouette, like spinning around on the guitar penis combo and thrusting it back and forth, and Excel is like going nuts, and she has this amazing fantasy where Key and El Palazzo are drawn like shoujo characters, and then they like hug and roll around in a field of flowers and start caressing each other. Episode 25, or not 25, 23. I haven't seen Fist of the North Star. I really would like to someday, but it was basically Fist of the North Star. In the episode before, the Poochus come back and they blow up the planet, and it's all like an apocalyptic wasteland. And Excel is like, what's his face? Who's the main character?
Kenshiro.
Yeah, she's like Kenshiro, and she like punches everybody, and they does like the head blowing up stuff.
Yeah. She had like the 7 scars or whatever too.
No, she does. Well, what's the seven? Wait, seven. What's 7 scars?
Like Kenshiro, he's like the man with 7 scars because he has like the I forgot the name of the guy, but like at the beginning of the show, the guy he fights like makes like a bunch of holes in his chest that look like the Big Dipper.
Oh,
That's why it's like
no.
Fist of the North Star.
She doesn't have anything like that, but
Okay.
she does have this move where instead of blowing them up, she makes the leader of the gang look like a super deformed, cute mascot character, and then like he keeps saying obnoxious words. That's like the thing I don't like. What's it called? Like when the mascot characters always end their sentences with like a made up word. He keeps like saying puny at the end. I
forgot what that is called. Yeah.
It's like, you're going to get it now, puny. You're not going to like me when I'm mad, puny. It's like that I thought was annoying, but and then something else that's not really tied to an episode specifically, but when they just start pulling stories out of their ass in the second half of the series, it turns out that Pedro, the man that Pedro's wife ends up with, is secretly a mysterious man called That Man, and he is the one, it's hinted that he is the one that's giving Across its orders, because apparently the Across that we're familiar with is just one sector of many, many Acrosses, and Nabashin...
Wait, the main villain in Excel Saga is That Man, just like in Guilty Gear?
I don't know if it's in Guilty Gear. I'm not that familiar.
No, in Guilty Gear, the main villain is literally referred to as That Man.
Well, that's how it is in Excel Saga 2, and I forget when exactly they described it, but it was because he was supposed to be a one-shot character, and all they had in his notes was That Man, but then he became a recurring character and ended up being the villain, so they just kept on calling him That Man. It's like, you're gonna get it now, That Man! So anyway, Nabashin, the director, trains Pedro, and they become Afro warriors, and they go Super Saiyan and have like a Kamehameha fight at the end. So that was
stuff
entertaining.
Sounds really good, but then I remember when I watched the show, it was like so boring that I was just like, that sounds like a completely different show than what I watched.
I don't know what to tell you, Chris. I don't know. I remember you saying the first week you were watching it, you were having a really tough week. Maybe you just weren't like in the mood for all this shit. But that's why I was like surprised, because like all this stuff I thought was just gonna be too stupid, but I ended up liking it anyway. And then you hated it. It was like the exact opposite thing that I thought was going to happen. And then of course there's episode 26, Going Too Far. The ending of the show, well, it's more of like a post-ending episode, because they intentionally made an episode that pushed the censorship too far and they didn't air it on TV. And that just has a whole lot of fan service and extra blood and extra swears. Hyatt and Excel change bodies. Watanabe finds Hyatt in Excel's body, and she takes him to a love hotel, and Watanabe is just... he's in this towel, and his groin area just keeps, like, pulsing very violently up and down.
Oh my goodness.
And then Hyatt and Excel and Hyatt's body comes in and finds what's about to happen, and it looks like they're going to have a three-way, and then Excel's like, no, you're not going to get any of this. And then Excel in Hyatt's body is so excited and aroused by how she looks, looking from the outside in, so they kind of roll around in bed together until their bodies switch back. And then Shioji meets up with that girl that you don't like from
Oh yeah, I remember this joke, and she has like giant breasts.
Yeah, she she makes like a bunch of snide comments about Watanabe and Hyatt going off to the Love Hotel, and then Shioji comes up from behind and like places his hand on her shoulders. It's like, are you sure you wouldn't be interested in that kind of thing? And she's like, okay, let's go. It's like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then she comes out, like, is like, I have something to tell you. She's like, yes, I'm a G-cup. And she, like, removes her towel, and her tits are, like, balloons, and they're, like, giant and bigger than her head. And, like, Shioji goes flaccid and leaves the room. Because he's just into lollies.
So weird.
It's stupid.
It's
all so stupid.
The most memorable thing of that entire show when I originally watched it.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, I liked it. Wasn't like my favorite or anything. I'd give it still like a C, I guess. I had a pretty good time. If I'm gonna make a real hot take, I think as a whole, I even enjoyed it more than Escaflowne.
Wow, really?
I know. What can I say? That Isaac Newton thing didn't quite pass the circle of stupidity to make it enjoyable enough for me. It was just regular stupid, and that really brought down the show for me. At least Excel Saga wasn't trying to be an epic or anything. It was what it was, and that's all that it was.
Yeah.
So, if we were talking about like the first half of Escaflowne versus Excel Saga, yeah, the first half of Escaflowne definitely would have been better. First half of Escaflowne probably would have been up closer to the A rank, but we're looking at the whole package, and Escaflowne as a whole package just didn't do it for me. Excel Saga I did have a better time with. I didn't have as much. I think Air Gear is funnier, to be honest. Air Gear has Air Gear's music too. I guess that's kind of unfair to compare because Air Gear's music is so top notch. But what can I say? That's where it is for me. You, I'm assuming, would give it.
Excel Saga at the end of the day could be what some people would refer to as like a guilty pleasure type of show. Like, it's like really stupid, but like you like it anyway.
I was thinking about that, and I'm like kind of confused about the meaning of guilty pleasure, because like if I feel like if it's a guilty pleasure if you're embarrassed to admit you like it. I'm not embarrassed
embarrassing to admit that I like YouTubers once in a while. It's like this is so stupid. It's like a cartoon character playing video games, but like for some reason I find this very enjoyable.
Yeah, but I'm not embarrassed to admit that I liked Excel Saga. It's not something I would recommend to anyone. But, it's... How do you recommend this to somebody that's not into anime? Yeah. You, I'm assuming, would give this the trash tier. The trash can tier.
I mean, like, I wouldn't, like... I could get where enjoyment comes from it, but, like, yeah, it's like D minus F. I mean, I couldn't even finish it just because... And listen... This could just be a me thing, but I'm one of those people that if I'm not gonna like continue to watch something I don't like I'm not gonna like force myself to watch the whole thing. And maybe if I did get to the later half of the show, I probably might have found some more enjoyment from it. But I gave it 8 episodes. It really just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean. It is what it is. So viewers, my question for you is, did you ever watch Excel Saga? Do you remember Excel Saga? What are your thoughts on Excel Saga? Did it hold up? Is it funny? Is it stupid? Is it what? What are some other shows like it? What are some shows that did it better? Etc., etc. You know how to make comments. I don't have to fucking tell you how to do it. Alright then, I don't know what we're doing for next time, but I have a feeling Chris is gonna pick it, because I kind of feel like he deserves the next pick. Alright everybody, thank you for letting us enrich your minds with this non-enriching show. Later.